How's it going, my lovely Death Disciples? I'm the Shattered Reaper, and today we are going to be watching another replay of League of Legends, where in this match I am actually playing a ranked match, finally, and I am playing as Caitlyn. I've actually been maining her for quite a bit when it comes to the actual League of Legends games, and lately to test out how I can better do as a bottom ADC. And it definitely has been working out a lot better since I have been taking the tips that I have been learning from some of the pros, just by watching videos, really. So no, I am not being coached by any pros, as awesome and probably as stressful as this would be, as that would be. That is not what is happening. I've only just been, observing some videos, how I could do better as an ADC, some of the mistakes ADCs make, which I have noticed I've done quite a bit of. For example, I have had problems with, dodging attacks. I haven't really been paying attention to what I should do, because mostly I'm trying to focus on farming, which is good, but at the same time, you also have to be aware of your surroundings at the same time. So, you have to be aware of, okay, are enemies going to make an ability that could reach me? Are there going to be junglers that are going to gank me from the top? Are there going to be, and is there anything from the bushes I should be aware of? What should I do when my support is not present and I am the only one in the lane because my support had to back in order to buy some new items to help support more? So those are the things that I kind of kept in mind, and because I had been keeping those things in mind, I have been doing a whole lot better as a bottom ADC, instead of constantly getting horribly negative KDA ratios, and also just, feeding the enemy team, which definitely leads into a lot of problems with my teammates, and my KDA ratio, and my ranked positioning, which is why I am in Iron. But at the same time, I have been improving a lot, as I have noticed, and I have been taking the tips very well, and as you will see, you will definitely see a lot of improvement, and you will definitely be seeing a lot of awesomeness as Caitlyn. So I have the Kane's Fury, what I call the Kane's Fury rune, which is very much a sort of damage domination sort of idea, with a little bit of sorcery for some of that magic damage, which Caitlyn does have with her net and such. And I'm just pausing this right now so that I can get all the information out. And I was almost able to do a full crit build. Unfortunately, I was not able to finish it before the game ended. But, you'll see how effective it was even without fully going into crits. But without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into starting to play the game. So right now we're just kind of doing our whole starting thing where we're buying our first items, we're getting our first abilities. I do also have to let you know, this is mostly a 4v5 match, by the way. Unfortunately, our Udyr, he realized that, or, well, at least he said that he was going to be heavily countered by Kayn, who is the jungler with a scythe. Maybe one day I will try to learn how to play him, because, Shattered Reaper, having a scythe like a Reaper, would kind of make sense. But anyway, first thing I do is I get ready for the leashing. As you can see, there is an enemy up in the jungle. That would be Jinx. But I don't notice her, so, but I did put a little bit of a ward in case the enemy tries to plan an invasion, and thus we would be ready for one. So Jinx probably noticed me putting down the ward and was like, okay, yeah, we can't invade because they're gonna be ready for us. So, yeah. The important thing about invading is, you have to make sure your enemies are caught off guard when you're trying to invade their jungle. And if you can't do that, well, then, you're not really going to get any kills, because they're going to be prepared for you. They're either going to be able to get away from you in time, or maybe they'll just be in a prepared enough position to, score some kills off of your team. And I've actually run into a situation where we killed off nearly the entire enemy team. I think the entire enemy team. So you really don't want to be in that position. So anyway, we help our jungler get the red buff to start off, and then I go over into my lane, where we are facing off against Galio and Jinx, with Galio being the support, and Jinx being the bottom ADC. And I have Shen as my support teammate, and we go off and we deal with the melee minions right over there. I get a nice little poke on Galio. I focus more on my farm at the moment, but I could have taken some cheeky little pokes if I really wanted to, but I didn't think of that at the time because I was more focused on the farming. But, you know, just some ideas I had in my head as I'm watching this. But right now, I'm just focusing on the farming so that I could get the gold and so that I could get the leveling. Fun thing about Caitlyn's passive is that on her every 4th shot that she has, she's able to do an extra bunch of bonus headshot damage. And I get a nice few pokes on Galio, and once I get my second ability, I set a little trap over here, and you will see this happening a lot where it gets to be used very often. For my benefit, obviously, so that I make sure that enemies do not try to sneak on me from the bush. Galio dodges that trap for now, but he is in a bit of a difficult position, but so is my own support, but I was able to do quite a bit of damage on Galio, and then I also do plenty of damage on Jinx. Jinx then falls into my trap, which allows me to get some extra bonus range, so that I can hit her with a nice little bit of a headshot. So, deals quite a bit of damage. So very unlucky that she got hit by my passive there. I do another little poke on Jinx just for fun, and then Galio gets near my bush, and that's when I'm like, oh, okay, so this is going to be a very key thing that happens a lot. I get hit by his ability, but his ability doesn't do a whole lot of damage, and Jinx's doesn't really do a lot either, but my health is down by a significant amount. I then notice that the jungler is now heading on in, so I feel I am compelled to go and help out, but I accidentally run into Jinx's trap, which I should have seen as obvious, but oh well. I did finish off some farming. I come a little bit late to the fight, but everybody is still safe, so I just focus more on the farming, making sure I get the minion kills, so that I could level up and get some of that juicy gold. Galio uses his flash offensively to attack me. I decide to attack him, and then I realize he's low, and then I use my own flash offensively to deal the final blow. So that's how you use your spells in an offensive manner properly. Once you have the flash, you have to make sure that you use the flash so that you can get the kill. Using your flash to do beforehand just because you feel rather cheeky, probably not the most effective use. But if you're going in for that last hit, it's definitely much easier to do. And with the enemy no longer being present in the lane, I decide to take the opportunity to go ahead and hit the tower, and at the very least, take down the first level. I also take a little bit of an opportunity to take down some minions, and with that we get one of the first platings taken care of so that we could get a nice chunk of gold for our team. And it definitely works out to our benefit. And even though I was going to focus on the minions, I do get some of them, obviously. But Galio is there for the to help them out. I use my net, which also gives me some extra range, range. And then I shoot him one more time for a nice little poke. I think about backing, but I don't think I do at this point, because I get tempted to just get more minions. So I do have to think about making sure I do the play that I talked about earlier, where I am alone, but my support isn't. Galio is captured by one of my traps, but I don't take advantage of it. That's one of the things I had to learn to avoid, is that just because they're in the trap means it doesn't mean I should go in for the shot. Because if they're too far away, that should not be my primary focus. I should work on who it is I am there at. It's actually at this time, however, after taking a few minions, that I decide to back and get some items. I was able to get a lot of kills, and as you could see, I already have a lot more last hits than Jinx, so that's already putting me in a pretty good position. I have the starter item, Doran's Blade, and I also have a health potion to start off, but then, because of how much I was able to make, I got the new Quiver, which is a very nice starter item to have, especially when you want to farm. It's definitely a really good thing to have as a bottom ADC, especially for range, because, you know, it gives some nice attack damage and attack speed, but also there's all the precision, which attacks deal an additional 20 physical damage to minions and monsters, so definitely very helpful to have for that farming, so that you could secure those last hits a little bit better. But as you can see, Shen is definitely securing the kills for me, even though I am timing myself as well as I possibly can. That one I didn't really do so well, but that's just one minion. I set down a trap for later uses because I always want to make sure that that bush is secure. And I want to make sure that Galio or anyone doesn't try to sneak up on me. Shen distracts Jinx and gets a little bit of damage on her while I go in for some of the farming kills and deal with that wave. I also deal a little bit of damage on Jinx. She dodges my Q. But because she is no longer really in a position to defend the tower, we take down another plate and just kind of work our way on the next plate. And then I also just kind of farm a little bit more because why not? I mean, Jinx isn't really in a position to help us out because since her support isn't there, she kind of has to be a little bit on the defense and not going in to try and deal some damage because that would be a very bad idea. So she kind of has to give up a little bit of farm so that she doesn't get killed, which is a good idea at the very least. I set down a trap outside for Galio just in case he decides he wants to have a little bit of fun, and he does. And it allows me to get a little bit of poke. I try to net him to see if I can get some extra damage on him. That shot didn't happen, but I do use my Q on him, and it hits with a nice, direct, juicy bit of damage. But after that, just do a little bit more farming so that I can keep ahead of the game and make sure that Jinx is not going to be able to outpace me when it comes to the last hits and the leveling. Galio uses his ability. He charges at me again, which he probably should stop doing because it's not really doing a whole lot of damage, even if it is rather intimidating. But the fact that he is not there or has any damage to support him, not really a good idea in my opinion. I try to get Jinx with my net and then also distract her by poking at her a little bit. But this ends up putting me in a bit of a bad position because, well, I'm about to die, as you could tell. But at the very least, Galio is kind of heavily damaged. Not that anyone could really take advantage of it because, well, the rest of the team is damaged. But, however, our jungler does come in time to deal the final blow to Galio. So Zed is going to be there, but I respawn. So we're not going to be seeing a little bit more, and here is where Udyr kind of disconnects. I'm not entirely sure what happened with that. I don't know if he really believed this was going to go well or not, but I don't know. I don't really know the full reason, so I do not hold any judgment. But yeah, this basically is where it starts to turn into a 4v5, but that doesn't really matter to me all that much. I go in to defend my tower, Akali is there with her latest KDA skin, and I'm like, oh, I really hate to have to do this to you, hun. But, at some point, I am going to have to kill you. I am going to have to make sure you do not, out-queen me. I am going to have to be the ultimate queen. I do a few, mess-ups where I think I'm going to get those last hits on the minions, but it's at the very last sliver of health. I was able to get the last hits anyway, but at the same time, it was, something where I was doing more damage than I thought. I think about taking the dragon here, but then I go over to the bush because I see a lot of enemies around, and I think maybe the best thing I should do is just hide and see if maybe I can get one or two of them. Jinx checks the dragon, but then she just kind of leaves, so I just stay in the bush for a little bit, and so does Zed. Shen is over at the bottom here. Yeah, Jinx and Galio are just kind of at the bottom lane, so I decide I should probably go back to bottom lane as well. They're also under the tower, so I think maybe I could take advantage of that. But unfortunately, they kind of leave just in time, so that didn't really help. But I set down another trap in the bush anyway, because I always want to be sure that that jungle is secure. Galio charges at me. I use the net on him to deal some extra damage, deal some farm damage, and Jinx, once again, triggers my trap, and I take the opportunity to poke her a little. Just give a nice little poke with my bullets, because that's exactly how pokes work. Or at least they do in gamer terms. Galio then triggers my trap, and I get a nice few pot shots on him right there, so definitely very useful to keep that bush secure. I kind of just do the same process a little bit with a little bit of variancy so that I can make sure that it's still somewhat unexpected, because I know they need that bush, and I kind of take full advantage of it. Galio just kind of getting it close a few times, but then finally triggers it. I take the shot, but he's already out. So here's where I take a little bit of variety. I instead put the trap in the middle of the bush, and there he doesn't expect it to be right there. He expected it to be on the edge, as per usual, because that's where I've been placing it a lot, but because he was going to the middle, I thought it would make more sense to just hit the middle this time, instead of just always being at the edge. You have to think about how you could get inside other people's heads, and that's kind of where you start with the mind games, and then I just put a trap right at the far side of the bush this time, so that I know Galio is not going to be expecting it. Or at least that's my assumption, that he won't expect it. Just continuing my little farming battle with Jinx, where she's taking down some minions, I'm taking down some minions, and we're just trying to make sure that we can go ahead and outpace each other. How are we doing on the minion count? So far, I have a huge lead with 87 minion kills and 62 for Jinx. The trap has expired for the one in the bush, so I'm not going to be able to put another one there, but I do put one in the middle bush, thinking that maybe Galio, if he wants to sneak up on me, probably would want to use that bush. I take that nice little last farm, and that's pretty much all that's going on. Galio is a little... I tried to go in for Galio, but he backs up to safety with Jinx, so I wasn't able to really push my luck there. So I'm just kind of doing what I'm doing right now when dealing with the lack of support. Not that the support is bad, obviously, that's not what I'm trying to say, but the fact that my support is... kind of where I don't have my support player with me at the moment, I want to make sure that I am following guidelines as well as possible. Jinx, however, is also without her support, so I think maybe I could take a little advantage of it. I shoot her with my passive, and she gets hit with a nice bit of damage. But right now, going for the dragon doesn't seem like it's going to be a possibility with the fact that there are so many enemies within the area, so I don't really go for it. I just kind of focus on making sure I farm the bottom because, well, if there are going to be that many enemies in the area, it's probably not going to be worth it. Galio returns to support Jinx, so once again I am kind of left on my own. I put a trap in the middle of the road just because. I put another trap at the edge, and that triggers the trap, so Galio once again gets hit by my trap. I also hit him with my Q just for a good measure. I finish with this wave to get some farming, and then I go in to help support, and I use my R, and with my sniping ult, I get the final hit on Jinx before she's able to escape. I know you weren't really able to see that, but she was trying to run off, and she was a little bit far from our Zed, so I felt it was going to be her trying to escape, and I just dealt the final blow so that we could finalize the fact that she is going to be killed. It is then that I go for the dragon along with Zed, and so far we do not really have a whole lot of competition. No, we don't really have anybody trying to challenge us for it, so it's a nice little easy dragon kill, although our Zed does get hit, which nearly kills him. I don't really know who it was from, but does put him in a bit of danger. Anyway, me and Shen are kind of taking care of the bottom tower, and we have a couple of minions to help us in being able to deal the final blows, but Galio comes in, and Shen is looking dangerously low. He unfortunately does die to the tower, so it is another death for the enemy team, unfortunately. But it is also here where I do not realize my surroundings, and I try to flash out of there, which was a good idea. I also used my E to get Kane, but it obviously was not enough, as all three of them were able to get out, not necessarily unscathed, but despite all of my efforts, I was not able to do much. It's also here where I purchased my Kraken Slayer along with my Berserker Greaves, so I have plenty of attack speed to go with to help me out in my desires of shooting faster and getting as much damage as I possibly can. I do remember in some of the tips that there were other boots that probably would do better, but at the same time, I felt like in this instance, I probably wanted more attack speed, and that's just kind of what I went for. And it definitely helps me a lot, and as you can tell, I'm at the attack speed of 1.21 attacks per second, so that's actually pretty fast, and it's definitely going to be a huge help for the early game. Now let's see if I can look at the rest of my build. It's still basically the same, along with also a longsword to build into a, I don't remember what the item was. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the Gale, but it was definitely an attack speed item, or an attack speed item with a crit. But yeah, other than that, I don't really remember what the item was. I'll be able to remember once the item does come in, because that's kind of how it normally works. I think you guys know by now that I'm not too familiar with all of the League of Legends items. I'm just kind of going with what ones are recommended at the moment. But I do get a nice few good pot shots at Galio. I also set down a trap for him just because. I also noticed my team is fighting in the jungle, so I go in to see if maybe there was anything I could help, but the team fight is already over, so there's not really much I can do. I put a trap in that bush just cause if the team decides to attack, or I mean the enemy team, well then we'll have somebody who triggers my trap. But other than that, I just kind of focus a little bit on farming, making sure I get those last hits, and making sure I stay ahead. With my support gone, I don't really see anything to do in the bottom lane, so I decide maybe it's time that we get out of the lane phase and we just head on over to mid lane. We also use the Rift Herald. Teemo uses it in his lane at the very back at our base. I don't really know how well that normally goes. I don't actually know the results, but I head up to mid lane. I finally make it because I was expecting maybe things were going to be happening here, but they don't, so I just kind of do a little bit of farming. And I level up, use my Q to get some last hits, or at least make it more likely. And I was able to finish that lane until I realized Shen is now in the bottom lane alone, so I decide, oh, maybe I should just go back to that lane and help him with Galio and Jinx. So that's exactly what I do, as you can see. But Jinx and Galio are no longer pursued in the fight, so I'm just kind of left with, once again, doing some farming. And Shen was able to get me some of that farming to allow me to have those last hits. And with his own last hits, they can count as mine, and they also provide me a nice little bit of gold. But as you can see, my damage is incredible on these minions, and I am able to get those last hits very easily, especially on the ranged minions, so that basically it's just one hit for each of them. But here, yeah, it's just nothing more than just our usual farming and killing of the minions. So yeah, the passive especially doing a very nice job of clearing them up. I go over to this bush because I see a team fight going, but then I realize, hey, wait a minute. There's actually something I can get in here, and I take down their ward. And then I use one of the bomb things so that I could go and help the team. But it doesn't really do anything because the team fight is already kind of over because Galio is already leaving and Teemo's just there alone. So I start to wonder here if there's actually a team fight, and I realize there isn't, so I just go back to my lane. And that's basically the end of that. It's basically a lot of this confusion. I put down a ward here so that we could keep an eye on the dragon, and the dragon is present. I decide to let my team know that, hey, there is a dragon here, so if anybody feels like getting it, we will go ahead and do it. Akali is pointing out to her own team that the Cloud Drake is in fact alive, so I guess we both kind of take notice. Here it's just another farming battle where a lot of damage is being dealt to the minions. The poor minions have to deal with so much pain and misery just because the legends are fighting. But here, Jinx and I finally get into a little bit of combat. But as you can see, the trade did not go well for Jinx. It kind of worked against her a little bit, and it's here where I think maybe I could take advantage of her, but it doesn't happen because Galio comes in for the save as I try to snipe her. So I try to fight back against him, using the net, but here I notice Jinx come back into the fight, and I deal the final blow as she mistakenly thinks that she's going to do any help, and then I also snipe down Galio for a nice double kill. So that definitely is a very huge benefit for me and my team, but obviously mostly me because I get the gold, and also because I get better KDA results. So far I have a 2-to-1 kill to death ratio with 1 assist, and a 250 gold bounty, so basically, the point here is that I am looking like a pretty good threat against the enemy team. Teemo, however, has a slightly better bounty than I do, with a slightly better KDA ratio, but I also do take down the tower here, so even more benefits for the team as we clear up the lane for our team, basically. Kayn is starting to head in our direction, but I feel it's time that I head back to my base because I have plenty of gold to use, and I have some items that I need to buy. I realized that Shen did not think the same thing, and a bit too late. I tried to tell him to back, but it's a bit too late because he already kind of got cornered by the team. I think he's about to escape, but unfortunately he doesn't in the end, and he kind of dies to Kayn's, what I believe is his ultimate. As he kind of enters his enemy, Teemo and, oh wait, does he not die here? I could have sworn he died here. No wait, he's looking surrounded again. Yeah, Teemo actually dies. So I do remember someone did die. Oh no wait, Teemo did kill someone, Nobody on our team actually died, but I did get another kill on Galio, so obviously I'm in a bit of an advantage here again, and once again, we steal another Drake because the enemy team realizes it's not a fight they're going to win, so they back off, and we just secure the Drake for our team. And so far we have both the Infernal Drake and the Cloud Drake, so we've already got some nice offensive abilities and attack damage ready for us to use to our best effect. I go to the mid lane because I see that there's, well, I don't know if I see it, but I definitely think there's now going to be a lot of action in mid lane, so I feel like I definitely should be helping out in the mid lane. I know I'm saying that a lot, sorry. But oh well, it's the best I could really do for explaining at the moment. I see that my allies are fighting in jungle, and I decide to go in and lend my assistance. I see my good old friend Jinx there, and I think maybe I ought to pay her a little bit of a high. I try to snipe her, but Mr. Flay already got her. Then I tried to use it on Urgot, but he barely makes it out there. So I just kind of take out my anger at the fact that I did not get the final kill on Urgot, on the minions, and as well as on the tower, and that's another tower taken down by Caitlyn, yours truly. Akali left behind a smoke bomb for us. I think it was just to help her escape, because I don't know what else it could have been used for. I decide to take a few pokes at the turret, even with some enemies there. I take a nice good few pokes against Urgot. Galio triggers my trap, and as you could see, with the items I already have, I'm able to do a serious amount of damage against my enemies, and it is just absolutely incredible. I use the net, and I deal the final blow on Galio. Jinx tries to use her ability, but it misses. Let's see what my items are currently. So I have the Kraken Slayer, I have the Berserker Greaves, I also have a dagger to be used for something else, but I also have the Collector, which deals a nice bit of attack damage, a good number of critical strike, and some lethality, and as you could see, dealing a lot of damage, and of course with every kill I make on a hero because of the Collector, I also get a nice bit of bonus gold, so that's very helpful to me. And let's check out our KDA right now. So now we are at 7 kills, 2 deaths, and 1 assist, but that bounty is going to be collected soon, unfortunately, by someone, so that's a nice 700 gold for our enemy to be used, because I decided to get out too late in this situation. I think it's I thought it was going to be a good opportunity to get a kill, but 3 enemies, low health ADC running away. Jinx is the one that takes her revenge against me, and I go down horribly, with Galio getting into an after-death trap. Unfortunately, it doesn't cause any damage, but, you know, a little bit of symbolic laughing beyond the grave, sort of. Sorry, Galio, to put so much pain on you, though. I'm pretty sure those traps were extremely annoying. We see a nice little Akali KDA returning to her base. We also see a little bit of Teemo putting down his shrooms in his Operation Teemo skin. Urgot goes ahead and tries to take down the bottom lane, but not a whole lot happens here. So yeah, unfortunately that's my 700 gold bounty, knocked down a peg because I decided to be too greedy, and that will be a lesson for me to learn. And, but KDA is still heavily positive in my benefit, so even though I don't have my bounty anymore, I do still have a nice kill-to-death ratio that puts me ahead of everyone else, and also, of course, a nice chunk of minion kills, last hits, that heavily go against everyone else on the enemy team, as well as on my own team, so definitely I have the most potential when it comes to dealing a lot of heavy damage, especially with the items that I currently have. I'm not exactly sure why I go into this jungle, honestly, but as you could see, Urgot is telling his team that the Mountain Drake is spawning, and Zed, shortly after, says that that we are going to be having the Mountain Drake soon. I see the enemy attacking the mid lane. I think it's a good opportunity to go after someone in this, but I don't really make it in time for Akali. But Jinx does happen to get in my way, and as you can see from that trade, doesn't really work out well. So, so my revenge against Jinx's revenge has been avenged. Wait, hold on, I don't think I put that right, but, you know, whatever. You get what I mean. I avenged, I avenged, Jinx's revenge on me. There, I think that's, how it went. Anyway, I go to the top lane next because I notice there's quite a bit of activity going on there. I focus my attention on Galio, and I melt his HP away along with Urgot. And, yeah, as you could see, they were extremely heavily outclassed in that situation, simply because I was, doing a good job making sure I listened to the tips and, making sure that I gave as little opportunity to show any, moments of attack. Meanwhile, they gave plenty because they were under our friendly tower. They gave me the opportunity to take them by surprise, and of course, I was able to get a lot of valuable items and a lot of experience from the battles that I had with those minions, so all of that definitely helped out. And let's see, we have currently 306 attack damage, so you can see where the attack is coming, along with a nice chunky 1.52 attack speed, and here we secure the Mountain Drake. I do it for the team, and it goes like that. So now we also have a nice plus 6% armor and magic resistance thanks to killing the Mountain Dragon, as you can tell. Here I decide to do a little bit of farming, once again, even though I don't really need to, but you could definitely see how much damage I'm able to do against these minions. It's just so much damage, as you could tell by these numbers, that it's just incredible. I'm not exactly sure where, we can't see the lethality, or, wait, no, that's the armor. The armor's not really important. But as you can see, I'm definitely doing a lot when it comes to dealing damage against the enemy minions, and currently I go with a nice 10 kills, 3 deaths, and 1 assist. And we then also have the Storm Razor, and as you could see, you just saw a slight little bit of a slow with Galio, and I get a nice little ult off of him to deal the final blow, as I shoot him in the head as he tries to escape me, with a nice little crater to go with. That's the way I always imagine my sniping kills when I have the ultimate ready. Whether it be Sniper from Dota 2 or just my sniping ult as Caitlyn. Urgot tries to challenge me for the tower, but as you could see by how much damage I'm able to do, doesn't really go well for him, but at the same time, Akali and Jinx are right there, so I realize that, wait a minute, this is not a fight I should get involved in. I should probably wait until the team gives me a little bit of assistance, and so I decide to do a little bit of farming to help Teemo as well as our ally minions be able to push on ahead so that they could take the brunt of the tower damage. Now, I don't know where it is I can find my critical, hold on. Ah, there we go. So here's where I can find my critical strike chance. Right now, it is resting at a nice, good, chunky 60%. Here, it looks like I'm in a bit of danger, and it is also here that I die because I overextended a little bit too much without any assistance from my allies whatsoever. As you can see, Teemo is definitely given a lot of business to Kayn. Yeah, he does not really, it really doesn't go well for him. So Teemo, takes the kill thanks to the Ignite. He didn't necessarily have to be there, but the Ignite really did help with dealing the final blow on Kayn. But let's also see if maybe, well, actually, since my person isn't alive, I'm not able to do it. But you already saw that I already have a 60% critical strike chance, so it already deals quite a bit of damage when I have critical strike, and I have a high probability for dealing critical strikes, obviously, as you can tell. Teemo is not too pleased with Akali trying to take down his mushrooms, but that's not important right now, because now I'm back on the field, and obviously I'm the more important person. No, I'm just kidding, that is not how it is, but I definitely am here to show off my own gameplay, so that's kind of what I am focusing on. Urgot once again going and pushing the top lane, even though our team is having a fight in the mid lane. Now, I'm sure he wanted to try and take advantage of the fact that we are distracted by pushing that tower, but unfortunately it doesn't do his team a whole lot of benefit. As we take down the mid inhibitor eventually, I place down some traps just in case maybe they might come into use later on, but Kayn is definitely looked like a prime target. As you could see, he probably should have ran a little bit further, as it eventually led to his demise, just not being able to decide whether he should get involved in the fight or not. You can't really have those indecisive moments, because it's not really going to go well. I chase off Akali with my basic damage. As you can tell, they are very effective. Galio gets trapped in my trap that I set near the tower because I thought I was going to be able to attack him, but I wasn't able to because he wasn't in range. I think I was able to get Galio with my net. That doesn't really go well. But here is where I am able to get out of this situation once again, even in a dire-looking moment. I think I for some reason decided to get the idea to take some pot shots on them, even though I would be the only one there. I placed down a trap there just to help with my escape a little bit, and also just for funsies, since someone does end up getting triggered into my trap. That's fun. I think about trying to go for the Baron Nashar, which ends up being a bit of a bad decision as it turns out, because the enemy team is trying to go there. They end up going mid lane, but here is where I'm able to deal a heavy amount of damage against him. Galio tries to go in for me, but that was a mistake because he overextended and he was dealing with me and my damage. But he did do a nice good number on me, as you could tell, as I am using the honey fruit in order to restore my own health. But here is where we get our 4th Drake for us, and it is another Mountain Drake, which helps with more buffs to our armor and our magic resistance. So that's definitely quite a bit of armor for us to be able to take advantage of, and we go ahead and we move further in the mid lane. It's almost near the end of the game, so I believe this is the final push that we make until we make our successful victory against the foes. I decide to ignore the farm and just go specifically after Urgot. I used my net, and I was able to get him after a series of basic attack shots against him, knocking down all of his spider legs until I shoot him right in the face. I also then destroy the final tower, but I'm also waiting for Akali to get out of her state. Oh no, wait, this is where I wait for Akali to get out of her stasis, because I kind of want to get one more kill off before I finish the match. I know it's wrong, but I also use my snipe to finish her off, and it does. I am sorry, queen, but there can only be one queen, and it's me. And it is here where we make our final victory against the enemy, and the Nexus is taken down by Zed, who is actually able to get the final hit, but I was able to make the second to last hit on it, so you know, credit where credit is due. But that is where our victory can in fact be concluded, and I'm also going to go ahead and get out of this now, and we are going to go ahead and show off our final results. You don't need to see what I have up for my internet. But it does give me a nice little bit of LP. Not that much, but it does give me a nice little LP. And the final results I carry with a nice 15 kills and 4 deaths, along with 2 assists, and 237 minion kills, with a nice, hefty, very wealthy 15,804 gold. And this is what the build ends up finally being. Again, I wasn't able to finish the full crit build, but I did try, and that's what matters the most, in my opinion. For some reason, at the end, I do also remember I was going to buy the critical chance cloak, but then I changed my mind, and I thought I was going to be able to return it for full price, but that didn't necessarily happen. So I basically sold off that cloak for no reason, and if I kept it, I would have had a 95% crit chance. Instead, I only ended up with an 80%, which is fine. It's not like I really needed any more damage because I was melting people enough. But yeah, as you could see, the team was doing pretty well, even without Udyr, who unfortunately was disconnected for the rest of the match. So it was a 4v5 match, and that's basically how it went. And not only that, I was also able to get Caitlyn rank 7 for this match, so a nice bit of mastery for her. Very nice in my opinion. And that's basically all I have to say at this moment. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed this video. Give that like button a stab if you did. Subscribe if you want more death in your life. Be sure the bell is tolling for thee, and until next time, rest in peace. And also, just to let you know, as a last minute note, I have been doing a lot of teamfight tactics as well. I don't know if you guys would be interested in some gameplay from that, but I have been having a lot of good matches where I end up being in the top rankings for my matches, in ranked matches. I am in silver currently. I just got promoted to silver, so I'm definitely moving way up there. As you can tell, I do also have a bit of a 1 to 2 win-loss ratio for this season for ranked solo and duo. I'm betting that that will change soon enough with the tips I have taken. But yeah, anyway, that's all I have to say. If you, as I already did the outro, so, anyway, that'll be all, so, bye!